Mayor and Common Council to order. Mr. Cavacci, you have a motion for us, and you are muted. Mr. Cavacci, you're muted still.
Okay. Shannon, you sent me the closed session form, right?
I send it back to you.
Can we take it as read?
I got it. No, I got it right here. So, do I need to read the whole thing? Yeah, I guess I do. So, look, I apologize. I frankly, I kind of forgot we had this meeting, and a couple of my kids are here with some of their dogs and stuff. So you'll have to bear with me. I apologize.
Right. No
So the
worries.
statutory authorities closed the session, Maryland Etiquette Code 3-305B. I'd like to discuss the appointment, the employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. So I move that we go into a closed session for that reason, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cavacci. There's been a motion to close the meeting. Is there a second?
A second.
Been a motion by Mr. Cavacci and a second by Ms. Gilbert to close the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to
Aye.
have it, the ayes have it. And we will close the meeting now. So we will see you all on the other platform in just a minute.
All right. So
Next item on our agenda is unfinished business. There is no unfinished business of which I am aware. We have 3 items of new business. The first is approval of Warner Construction Contract Change Order number 15. And for that, we have Mr. Glass on behalf of Ms. Matthews. Mr. Glass.
Yes, sir. I'm sure you'll recall there were some from previous change orders, some repairs to storm drains right outside the building at 45 West Main, and also waterproofing because there was water permeation getting into the below grade level. What happens with this change order is because there were portions of the sidewalk removed, clearly they have to be put back, but only by the contract it would be replacement of the sections that were removed. Well, that leaves the sections that were old and existing, and it'll kind of look like a checkerboard square kind of a thing if this change order is not approved. So the cost is $9,030, and if approved, would take new sidewalk basically from the ATM on the west side of the building down to the new flower bed that's going to be placed right at the corner of the building, kind of on the Main Street side. So that's pretty much what this will entail. I did look through the cost associated with it, and although I don't think it's a deal, I think, and the reason for that, I believe, is that it's we're not really talking about that much concrete, and unfortunately for the demo that is required there's a mobilization demobilization where the equipment would have to be moved in that's not already on site. So there are reasons for it to be a little more expensive. We don't have the economy of scale associated with this either. So at this point, staff would recommend that the city authorize Warner to perform the work for change order 15, amount of $9,030.
All right. And this is just given the work that's gone before this is really something that we just have to do.
So I think it's important that if we're going to do it, we need to. That's part of the reason it's on the special meeting. I think we need to give them the go ahead so that they can get it scheduled and have that complete, along with some other exterior work that's being done. But I guess you certainly don't have to do the whole sidewalk. You could tie back into to the existing sidewalk that's not in the best shape. I would not recommend to do that, but you certainly could do that. If you look further back in the packet, and I'm sure you have, there's a diagram that would show the new sidewalk versus old, and looks like it's on page 5. So that would kind of give you an idea of how it would appear with new versus old.
President,
Right, Mr. Mayor.
so I'm pulling the packet up because I want to see the difference. But before that, my general feeling on this is if we're going to ask people to replace their sidewalks, maybe we should lead by example and not have a really bad looking uneven sidewalk. And I don't know the cost, the difference in cost, Mr. Glass. Do you have that off the top of your head? Because if we're bringing if the big part of the cost is like the bringing the equipment in, taking it out, that's going to be part of it no matter what, right? So it's just a matter of how much concrete's being poured. So this isn't like a $0 or a $9,000 situation, right? It's a 9,000 or something else, or is that 9,000 on top of what it was going to be just to replace those sections?
No, this is 9,000 to replace those. No, you're right. So what would happen now is we would get credit for the sections that are to be replaced in conjunction with the previous tear outs. So that's not part of it. What this does clearly doesn't have to tear out any additional sidewalk. If it's not there, it's not there. This breaks out what is existing and then provides all new sidewalk with credit for the earlier work.
Mr. Glass,
Yes, ma'am.
I have page 5 pulled up in the diagram and I see the edge of the sidewalks. The orange coloring, is that what's being replaced currently and it's the white that we're talking about, or is it vice versa?
It's vice versa. The orange is what would be in need of replacement.
Okay, so that's what you mean by like a little patchwork, because
Correct.
a
It's
good piece, a bad piece, a good piece, a bad piece.
correct. It's kind of
That-
like the checkerboard square.
Okay.
We're
So,
all waiting to hear what Mr. Koch has to say.
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Fox.
President, I guess, when I was looking at this, $9,000 seems like a hell of a lot of money to me for the amount of sidewalk that we're replacing. That was my initial inclination. I'm not a concrete construction expert, but I have done a little concrete work on my own sidewalk in front of my house, and I was pretty taken aback by the cost of this relative to how much we're talking about. And again, I guess where I thought we were really kind of getting the short end of the stick here is they're already going to be out there pouring concrete for the other pieces of this. So I would have thought there would have been economy of scale. Now, I guess what to make sure I understand, you're saying they got to come in and jackhammer out what's already there that they have already done previously to access underground for other things. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the economy of scale, when I say that, I don't refer to it as only in the concrete pour. It's that they have to bring in other equipment with a hoe ram and that kind of thing to be able to remove the existing work that's there. That's
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I find it hard to believe they don't have a skid loader on site that they can't break up those couple of pieces of sidewalk with. It's already sitting there on site. I feel like this is expensive, to be honest. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I feel like I would love to sit down and talk to them and say, come on, guys, this is crazy. You guys are, I feel like we're getting hosed a little bit here for the amount of work for $9,000. Just my opinion, but I think we're going to have to do it. And it's probably one of these situations where we don't really have much of an option, but I don't love it. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
so I share your concern there, but to answer your question though, there's all that equipment. They need a hoe ram and then a bobcat to remove the stuff after it's broken up. And believe it or not, it's not on site at this point. I did check that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I'm glad you did, because that makes me feel a little better. Because I'm thinking there's got to be a skid loader sitting out there, but fair enough. Okay.
All right, thank you. So we don't have a motion yet. We have a motion to approve the change order.
Make a motion to approve the change order.
All right, there's been a motion by Ms. Gilbert to approve the change order. Is there a second?
I will begrudgingly second.
All right, well, begrudgingly, it's still a second. Any further discussion or any more questions from Mr. Glass?
I do have one before I say my
Ms.
aye.
Gilbert, sure.
I'm assuming city staff can't do this to save a little bit of money. I'm just asking.
So generally in the circumstance like that, so can we pour sidewalk? We certainly can. What I would recommend against though is the commingling of being on that process, on that project, on that site, and have kind of competing entities there. That's and we can do that if that's what you want to do, but I would recommend against it. That
Okay, that's kind of the answer I was looking for, just to make sure that there wasn't somehow that we could save a little bit. But thank you.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
All right.
good.
Thank you. All right. Anything else? If not, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of approving the change order, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it, and the change order is approved. Mr. Glass, thanks very much for checking into this and all the work on it.
Yes, sir.
Next item is approval of a BGE agreement for streetlight conversion to LED. Mr. Glass, once again.
Yes, sir. I recently have been in contact with BG&E to kind of search if they have any programs that would be beneficial to the city in terms of energy efficiency and that kind of thing. And it turns out that they do. And this particular project would target the Cobra head lights that that we lease from BGE, and we also are responsible for the energy costs with them as well. So the survey determined that we have 523 of these particular lights, and the program would change out the existing. Some of them are metal halides, some are mercury vapor, but all by the time we were done would be LED lights. That being the case, LEDs not only last longer, but are much more energy efficient. So by upgrading the street lights, we'll actually see a reduction in our monthly premium to BGE in the terms of greater than $5,000 a month. The better news is that not only will we be saving money here, there's not a cost share. All we have to do is agree, and BG&E will do the work. It might not be BG&E, but their contractor. BG&E will be responsible for all the work, and it will be at zero cost to the city. So it's like almost impossible to not like how this is headed. What I would just take it one step further, there are other programs that I have investigated as well that are cost share programs, but I'd like to just to, if you would consider that some future time, if I bring some of those forward, maybe with the savings that we would see from this program, provided we all agree and this is taken forward, maybe we could use some of that money to do some of the other cost share stuff that would save us energy as well. So the good thing about this is, once you first start with the LED stuff, it's only continues forever and ever. It's you never go backwards in the energy realm then at that point. So as quickly as we could get things on board with the change outs, ultimately the better it would be for everyone in the future. So so at this point, staff would recommend that the mayor and council approve the city's participation in BG&E's outdoor lighting program and authorize the mayor's signature on the document.
All right, thank you, Mr. Glass. May I have a motion on the proposal?
I make a
I'll move.
motion.
All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Gilbert and a second from Mr. Cavacci to approve the BGE agreement for streetlight conversion to LED. I just have one question, and we can open it up then. But Mr. Glass, why do streetlights, as I walk around town, why do they just go out? sometimes. You know, you're walking along and then boom, the light just goes out and all of a sudden you're walking in the dark. I see it happen up and down Main Street. I see it happen. I sit on the patio at Paradiso and the light there goes out all the time. You know, it gets dark. I can't see my dinner anymore. You know, why does that happen? And will this change that?
So it's very likely that that will have a positive effect. I don't know it's going to change completely, but so sometimes it's because the lights are driven by or activated by photocell. So in the event that you know, so you don't want daylight burners, so the lights are out in the daytime. Well, once it gets dark enough, then the photocell activates and causes the light to come on. But any light would the photocell doesn't know the difference. It would think that even a flashlight cast on the photocell could cause it to go off. Now, I wouldn't think anybody would do that to you, particularly at Paradiso, but that doesn't mean that car headlights couldn't do that as well. Reflections sometimes can do that. So, and of course, not just that. It could be that the light's beginning to fail and it overheated. You know, the ballast overheated and it was shut off for some period of time and then relight again. So so there could be a number of reasons, but we have noticed and have made some changes to the lighting on Main Street for that exact reason. It was took a while to figure it out, but it was cars turning proceeding east from 27 onto Main Street that would turn lights off there. It was their headlights, believe it or not, that was doing that. And just another one of those things that is kind of tough to figure out, and it makes you look maybe not the smartest while you're in process.
All right. Well, thanks. I appreciate the information. Any other questions for Mr. Glass or any
Yeah,
discussion on this?
Mr. President.
Mr. Cavacci.
So two quick things. Number one, the thing at Paradiso, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's a bad ballast is what that is. It keeps restarting itself. And for the past month or two, I've been meaning to say something to Mr. Glass about that because every time I'm there, it's annoying as heck. And I do think the LED lighting will actually fix that particular situation because if I'm not mistaken, the LEDs don't have the ballasts that the sodium or the mercury vapor lights do. That's right, Mr. Glass? I think
So
they do away with that ballast. They bypass it.
So that ballast will absolutely go. There will be
Yeah.
a new power source replaced. It's not a ballast, but it's you may as well call it a ballast. But so it's basically the guts of the light all that will
Yep.
be replaced. So it will fix that one.
I just redid some lighting in one of my buildings and switched it all over to LED, and it's unbelievable how much better it is. The other advantage we're going to get from this that you didn't talk about, I know you're aware of, and this goes back to my rec days, is LED lighting is far more precise. You don't get the light pollution from LED lighting that you get from the other types. So we won't have people's bedroom windows being lit up and, you know, areas that we don't want the light to be, it won't be because it's a much more accurate lighting system. So that's a secondary or tertiary advantage. But I just wanted to compliment you. This is awesome. I mean, $5,000 a month, you know, that's $60,000 a year that we're going to save in energy costs. That's not chump change. So great work. And when I read it and saw that there was no cost to us to do this, that even made it more exciting. You know, obviously BGE, they can't get permission to generate more electricity. So they're doing everything they can to try to cut down demand. So it helps them too. But man, I tell you, this is great. Wonderful job, Mr. Glass.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Gilbert.
I'll be really quick and I'm excited for this. This is going to be a win-win. We get to save money and we get to light up our town a little brighter. But I have a question, just out of curiosity, not that it's important. I just want to learn something. So I noticed that in our packet, like some of the lights are 100 watts, some are 150 watts, some are 250, some are 400. Why is there such a difference? I'm just curious because I don't know the answer to that.
So it depends upon what you're lighting. In some cases, for instance, the poles have the Cobra heads have a very short arm. In other cases, they have a very long arm. That's to maybe to project light to the other side of the street, for instance. So depending upon spacing And depending upon what it is that you're trying to light, there's, you can see that we have a whole lot more 150 watt LEDs than any place else. But I can tell you that the majority of the 400 watt LEDs are down around the Center Street, Charles Street area, and that's for crime prevention. We
Okay.
were requested to increase those. So that was the idea behind it.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious.
Yep, you're welcome.
I'd like to request a 400 watt one right across the street from our committee chair, Count Cavachi of Public Safety, that we can flash when the city needs him.
I
All right,
think
thanks.
Watts. I bet that's got to be really bright. I mean, I know we're usually like pretty far from those, but that's got to be like. So when you say watts, do you mean actual watts for LED?
so that's actual watts of what's existing, but LED.
Okay, what's existing? Because I was going to say LED 400 watts is like the sun.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
okay,
So the conversions won't be that kind of wattage. It'll be much less.
Okay, well, I think that sounds terrific, and I'm also pleased to hear that there are other opportunities, which I certainly think we would be glad to entertain. If you're able to identify somebody you think that really work for the city and want to bring them back to us. I think we're probably ready for the vote. All those, unless there's any further discussion, we'll move on. All those in favor of approving this project, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it. And the motion is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Glass, for bringing this to us. It sounds
Yes,
like
sir,
a
you're
great
welcome.
thing for us.
Thanks. Great job.
All right, and finally, Ms. Gruber, I will turn back to you for an update on the situation at the fitness center and the showers project there.
Yes, good morning. As indicated at Monday night's council meeting, we did begin demolition on the shower room renovation phase of the project on Monday evening. And upon the first night of demolition, it was discovered that there was extensive damage to the existing metal studs that frame the perimeter of the shower rooms. In the initial scope of work for this particular project, it was not indicated that those metal studs would need replacing, and it has been discovered that they have deteriorated and will need replaced. So the change order contemplated on today's agenda actually addresses 3 items. First are 2 changes that were brought forth when we submitted the plans to the county for review for the building permit. And the first item is the upgrade to an ADA compliant changing area, which actually that modification was made to provide necessary space for a wheelchair to enter the changing area and turn around. The original design that was submitted to the county did not accommodate for that. Secondarily, the original designs submitted to the county specified an ADA compliant bench in the shower stall areas of both the men's and women's changing areas. And those benches were supposed to be mounted to the shower partition walls. Once the plans were reviewed, it was decided that the shower partition walls would not bear the weight of transfer of a user. And so that these benches needed to be mounted into the floor. And then lastly, as indicated at the beginning of this discussion, is the metal stud replacement for the metal studs on the perimeter walls. In addition to that, we did need to treat some damaged drywall, some water damaged drywall with a bleaching solution and some mold and mildew resistant primer and paint that was also discovered when demolition occurred. So when I wrote the staff memo to submit for the agenda, I was not clear on what type of cost increase we would be looking at to accomplish these 3 tasks. I did receive a preliminary change order from Andrews Construction, and the amount to accomplish all 3 of the items mentioned will be $6,798.21. And I recommend that the city authorize Andrews Construction to perform the work discussed, as we have a fully gutted shower room at this moment in time, and would like permission to be able to proceed with completing the project.
Thank you, Ms. Gruber. So let's start off, may I have a motion on this item?
I make a motion to move forward on the replacement and
All
the
right,
change.
thanks. There's a motion to approve change order number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
All right. There's been a motion by Ms. Gilbert and a second by Mr. Cavacci. Any questions from Ms. Gruber or any discussion on this item?
Mr. President, I only have one question, and I
Gilbert.
think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So the water damage that was incurred, we have fixed that. Like, there's not going to be future water damage after we do this repair, correct?
Correct. The grout on the existing tiled walls, or the previous tiled walls, was leaking. And so water was leaching in the grout joints and rusting the metal studs.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't from an exterior source, but I thought that's what I remembered. That's why we were doing all this to begin with, but I just wanted to verify that.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Gruber, I have one question. Just so the original issue that sparked all this was that the men's shower room was in, not very good state. But we're doing both both locker rooms. Is that the case?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, great. I just want to make sure. All right. If we don't have any further questions or discussion, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of approving Andrew's construction change order number 1, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it. And the change order is approved. There you go, Ms. Gruber.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes the business that was on the agenda for this special meeting. We have received no citizen comments of which I am aware. And so we always welcome citizen comments. If people wish to comment on items on this agenda or any other agenda, please email them to our city clerk at comments@westgov.com. And I will always read any comments we have received at this point during the meeting. And with that, we have nothing else to discuss, and the meeting is adjourned. Hope everybody stays safe, and we will see you for the next regular meeting of the council. Thank you.